Hello everybody and welcome to a special video for the Pokemon Battle League. I'm Evan, head coach of the Saffron City Sneasels, and with me this week is Amber, head coach of the Lavender Town Lillipups.
Hello everybody.
This week we will be breaking down what teams need to do to make it to the playoffs. As we only have 3 weeks left in the season, we are really getting down to crunch time. So far 2 teams have clinched and only 2 teams are out. So a lot is still up in the air, and we're going to break that down going team by team. We're going to go right down the order, starting at the top of the Kanto division. Right now, the Saffron City Sneasels, my team, has clinched the playoffs. We are 100% going to be making it to the playoffs. We can lose out.
Yeah. Everybody already knows.
Okay, well,
you're great.
Okay, I'm not the only team that's in that boat. We'll get to that later. But the second place team in the Kanto division and the second place team overall in the Kanto Conference, the red division, Kanto Conference, is Fuchsia City Furos, led by head coach David. They are currently 7-4, and they are searching for a wild card slot. And they've got a pretty good chance of making it so far. To make it, if they just win 2 games, they have automatically clinched the playoffs. One of those games is against me. I battle him tomorrow, so that'll be an exciting matchup.
Oh, snap.
Not quite a must-win, because there are other ways he can make it. But yes, if he wins 2, he's definitely in. If he wins only 1 game, he can still make the playoffs. If the Cyndaquils lose 1, and the Pick-a-Pecks lose their head-to-head against the Furos. So there are quite a few ways where the Furos still make the playoffs. They do have the second best record in the conference, so I would be kind of surprised if they didn't make the playoffs. But it's possible. If they lose out, other teams start rolling, it could happen. Going on down through the Kanto Red, we go to the Pick-a-Pecks, led by Jake, our resident doctor, coach, actor.
Drunk.
And alcoholic. He is 5-6 on this season in his rookie year of Pokemon battling, which is actually pretty good. Just want to give a shout out to him. I think he has impressed a lot of the skeptics, some of the pundits. They were expecting him a little bit lower this year.
Like me.
Yeah.
I'll admit to it.
I think a lot of people expected him to be kind of a cellar dweller, and he's in the middle of the pack. So for him to make the playoffs, there are a few different ways that he can do it. One way is if he wins the last 3 games of the season, and the Cyndaquils lose just 1 game, he can make the playoffs. He is, I believe, losing the head-to-head matchup against the Cyndaquils, so he needs to have a better record than them. He cannot tie. But if he wins 3 games and Greg's team, the Volcaronas, lose 2 games, that's another way that the Pick-a-Pecks make it. Again, he lost that tie as well, so he needs to have a better record than the Volcaronas. And the last way he can make the playoffs is if he wins 2 games and the Cyndaquils lose 2. So he could win 3, Cyndaquils lose 1. He could win 2, Cyndaquils could lose 2. Either way, his 5-6 record is tied with the Cyndaquils, but he needs a better record than them at the end of the season to make the playoffs. And it's going to get kind of messy talking throughout the Kanto Conference, specifically the Blue Division, because everybody is so close and there are so many different ways different teams can make the playoffs. When we get over to Johto, you'll see things are a little bit more straightforward. Well, working down the line, we go to the Seafoam Island Squirtle squad led by Casey, and he has the hardest road to the playoffs right now. He has to win out. If he loses even 1 game the rest of the season, he's out. So to make the playoffs, he could have to win 3, and Greg would have to lose all 3. He actually does have the tiebreaker against Greg, interestingly enough, so he is able to just have the same record as him. And with only 3 wins on the season, and that would put him at 6-8 if he wins out. He could also win out, and Brendan, the Cyndaquils, could lose 2 games because he also has the tiebreaker against them. So those are the 2 ways that he can make the playoffs. I believe he has one more. Yeah, he has one more matchup against the Pick-a-Pecks this week, and he is 2 games behind them. So if he wins, they will be tied on the season, and it'll come down to KOs if they don't have the same record. Currently, they are pretty close in their KO to faint ratio. But considering Jake is not quite in the lead for the playoff hunt, we're not really comparing him right now. But moving over to Kanto Blue, this is the by far the most competitive division this year. And we have the Viridian City Volcaronas led by Greg at the top of the division. It's 6-5. And it's not even guaranteed that he will make the playoffs despite having the best record in the Blue Division with only 3 games left. He probably will. If he wins 2 games this season, doesn't matter what anybody else does, if he wins 2, he's in. Also, if he just wins this week against Brendan, week 12, he's in. So that's 1 win condition right there for him. Or if he wins 1 game on the season and Brendan loses 1 game in the season, then they will, I believe, have a tied record. And it comes down to KOs because they would split if Brendan wins week 12. Going over to Brendan, I'd say his spot is the spot to grab right now. He is if the season ends today, Brendan makes the playoffs, but there are 5 teams vying for that spot right now. It's pretty tight. So right now he's 5-6, and if he wins out, he will make the playoffs, because even if the other 5-6 team, the Pick-a-Pecks, win out, Brendan has the head-to-head. So winning out, that guarantees him a spot. If he wins 2 games and the Volcaronas lose 3, they have the same, he would have a better record, of course. And then if he wins only 1 game on the season and the Pick-a-Pecks lose 2 games, he will also make the playoffs. So we are nearing the Lillipups. Before we get to you, how are you feeling about your chances? We haven't really broken down yours yet, but we're going to get to that.
My division is so tight that I gotta give it all, and I still might not even get to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is very tight. We're getting now to the Psyducks, who are 3rd in the Blue Division. They are 4-7 on the year, but they're not out of the hunt. If they win 3 games and Greg, the Volcaronas, lose all 3 games, they can secure themselves a spot. Also, if they win 3 games and the Cyndaquils lose week 14 versus the Psyducks, they play each other week 14, it'll come down to KOs. They would have a tie matchup in the head-to-head. And then if they win 2 games and the Cyndaquils or the Pick-a-Pecks both lose 2 games, or either one of them loses 2 games, you will have a slot for the playoffs. So I'd say the odds are against Nick, but he can certainly do it. And now we move to the last team in the Kanto Blue Division. I don't mean last as in last place, but towards the bottom we have the Lillipups, led by you.
Yes.
And we are getting down to the nitty-gritty. For you to make the playoffs, one way would be that you would win all 3 of your games for the season, and the Pick-a-Pecks, Cyndaquils, and Psyducks all lose at least 2 games out of the 3. Which is possible. That can happen.
It is.
That can happen.
Yeah.
Or you could win 2 games, and the Pick-a-Pecks and the Cyndaquils lose out. They lose the rest of their games, and you win this week versus Nick.
Yeah.
And of course, Nick would have to lose too.
Yeah.
And then that would come down to KOs, I believe.
Slim pickings.
It's getting pretty tight. After this week, I think a lot more teams are going to be in or out. This is really where it starts to narrow down. And now we move over to the Johto division, where it's a little bit more straightforward. And we have the other undefeated team, Jacob's team, led by the Ecruteak City Standlers. He is 11-0, just like myself, but he has a slightly better KO to feint ratio. Not that that really matters, but I'm just going to give him the nod. He has also clinched his division and conference. He is guaranteed a slot in the playoffs. And moving forward from there, we have the Tin Tower Tyrannitars at 7-4. If they just win 1 game, they have made it to the playoffs. That's all they have to do, is just win 1. Or if the Magikarps lose a single game, they also make the playoffs. So pressure is on you, Mike. We'll see what's going on. Oh, I should mention, Tin Tower Tyrannitars are led by Caitlin with a Y. I forgot to mention that. Mm-hmm. Oh, another rookie this year.
Yes,
Caitlin with a Y.
awesome.
Yeah, this is her
So
first time
good.
playing, and she's having a fantastic season. She has been a legitimate threat and a playoff contender year 1.
Definitely some MVPs on that team.
Oh yeah, her Skarmory, her Clefable, both of them have been terrifying for many teams to go up against.
Yeah.
she's been working very well with the team she has.
Definitely.
All right, moving down the line, we have the Cyanwood City Magikarps at 4-7. This team is led by Mike, as I mentioned earlier, and I would like to give a shout out to Mike. I think he has improved a lot this season. Last year, he was a bit of a cellar dweller.
Yeah, he didn't win a single battle last season.
Is that true? He didn't win a single one?
Yeah, that's why I got the Splash Up.
Oh yeah, he did get the Splash Show for being in last place. But this year he's 4-7, and he's made a lot of improvements, and he's not out of the playoff hunt. It's an uphill battle for him, but he can certainly do it. If he wins out and the Tyrannotars lose out, it would come down to KOs. Of course, this would mean that week 14, the Magikarps beat the Tyrannotars, giving them a tie in their head-to-head, so it does come down to the KOs there. Right now, Mike is a little bit behind in the KOs to Caitlin, but 3 weeks, anything can really happen. Another way you can make the playoffs is if he wins out and the Mews, led by Ian, lose 2 of their 3 games. Because that would give them a tied record, and Mike actually beat Ian in their head-to-head matchup. Another way he can make the playoffs is if he wins 2 games and the Mews lose all 3. Again, they're tied, and he gets the tiebreaker. Now we make it to the Ilex Forest Trevenants, and we are very sorry to Dan. You inherited a team that was not yours, and we can't really fault you for that. You are 2-9 on the season, and you do not have a shot at the playoffs this year. So you are one of 2 teams that did not make it. I expect a better showing from you next year. You got stuck with a team that you picked up, I think, about halfway through this season, maybe a little bit earlier.
No, literally halfway through.
Literally halfway.
Pretty much.
Okay, yeah. About exactly halfway through the season, you inherited this team, and it's not like you inherited a team with a team idea in mind. The team that you inherited was auto-drafted because the person who did not attend the draft is the one who ended up bowing out, Ethan.
Yeah.
So, it's not like anybody put this team together with any thought. These are just random number generator gave you 12 Pokemon. And, what could you really expect with that? That's really difficult. So I'm thinking next season, don't count out Dan when he gets to draft his own team. We'll see what happens. But hope you had fun this year for the limited amount of time you got to play.
Yeah.
Moving into Johto Silver, that was just Johto Gold we wrapped up. I should have mentioned that. In Johto Silver, we are looking at the Lake of Rage Gyarados, led by Jenny, another rookie, who is 8-3, having an amazing season.
Yeah.
She is in 3rd place overall in the entire league, and she has, and 2 of her losses were to top-tier teams, being myself, the Sneasels, and Jacob's team, the Santlers. So,
who was the other person she lost to?
I don't remember offhand, actually.
Me neither.
I don't want to guess and be wrong, but
I think it was Ethan.
it might. Yeah, it was Ethan.
Yeah,
it was Ethan who's no longer in the league. So yeah, she is 8-3 with a great KO to faint ratio, and for her to make the playoffs, all she has to do is win 1 game. Because even if Ian wins out, she wins the tiebreaker against them. So 1 game out of the next 3. It's very likely she'll make the playoffs. Not guaranteed, but very likely. Moving on down the line, we have the Mahogany Town Mews, led by Ian. He is currently 6-5 on this young season. Or not, no, I guess I should say not young season anymore. This is a
mature season.
A mature season. It's past middle age. This season has...
it went through puberty.
Well past puberty. I'd say this season is into its retirement. It maybe is traveling to Europe.
Nice.
Getting tourist photos in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Taking a...
Yes, thank you. That's our expert opinion from the resident cat, Roxy. She is... I don't really know what she was saying there. I think she was just supporting the Mews.
Yeah, she loves the Mews.
Yeah. So the Mews at 6-5, if they win 2 games, they will make the playoffs. They've got a decent shot. If the season ends today, they do make the playoffs. Also, if they win 1 game and the Magikarps lose a single game, they can make the playoffs. There is even a way that they make the playoffs without winning a single game this year. They could go winless, but if the Magikarps also go winless, or only win... Yeah, if Magikarps go winless as well, you'll be fine, and you can make the playoffs. Also, you would need the Cherry Grove City Hoppips to lose at least 1 game. Oh, and then this one's a little unlikely, but if you win 2 games and the Tin Tower Tyrannotars lose 3 games, you would have a chance to make the playoffs as well. So yeah, I'd say you're definitely in the hunt. It's one of the few things that's up in the air right now is the Mews versus the Magikarps versus the Hoppips for that second wild card slot. And then next we have the Cherry Grove City Hoppips, who I just mentioned. Did I mention the Mews were led by Ian? I did, right?
Yes.
Okay. We have the Cherry Grove City Hoppips led by Matt, who are 3-8 this season, and they are not out of the hunt. Surprisingly, they can if they win out, they will be 6-8, and if the Mews lose out, including their Week 12 matchup this week, because they play each other, the Mews and the Hoppips. If the Hoppips win, they will have a tie head-to-head record, and it'll come down to KOs. And that is one way for them to make the playoffs. Another way for them to make the playoffs... Oh, I'm sorry, this is the only way for them to make the playoffs, is for them to beat the Mews, go undefeated the rest of the season. The Mews have to lose the rest of the season, and the Magikarps have to lose 2 games this season.
Ooh, that's a lot of circumstance.
It is. It's very difficult for them to make the playoffs, but it's possible. They would probably... I'd say they have the hardest road to the playoffs while still being in the hunt. Harder so than even Casey, who is also 3-8. And then our final team, the Azalea Town Articunos, led by Caitlin with an I. Yes. They unfortunately are out of the playoffs. There is no chance for them to make the playoffs. They are another rookie team, though, and I would like to commend them for their efforts and hope they had a fun time this year and hope they learned a lot, because she is very new to the world of Pokemon and to competitive battling as well.
Oh, yeah.
So going completely fresh. Maybe next season we'll see some improvements.
Yeah.
We saw some glimpses of good play.
Definitely some good play. Great nicknames.
Fantastic nicknames. I loved the nicknames on her team.
Me too.
All of the old men and old women. I just found it very charming.
Yes.
I was rooting for Earl, Cuthbert. Oh, Cuthbert. Cuthbert was great.
Cuthbert was amazing.
Yeah. I think there was a Herbert.
I think so.
If there wasn't a Herbert, there should be. I think there's a Herbert.
I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, okay. So that is how the playoffs are shaping up as of right now, going into Week 12. We may do another shorter recap after this week because many more teams will be in and out.
Yeah. Sure.
So we will see what happens from there. And until next time, this was Evan of the Saffron City Sneasels.
And Amber of the Sneasels and Lillipups.
And we will see you next week. Bye.